Have you ever felt a pull in your heart, like you're here for something greater? Like your soul carries a mission it can't fully remember? That's because before you ever opened your eyes to this world, someone closed theirs in sujood for you. They didn't know your name, but they knew you were coming. They wept in the night, whispering, "Ya Allah, guide those who will come after us." And from that moment, your path was lit. Long before your first breath, the heavens had already heard your name. You are not a product of chance. You are a product of centuries of prayer. You were not just born. You were sent. And now your time has come. Our Lord, make us Muslims in submission to you, and from our descendants a Muslim nation in submission to you. Surah Al-Baqarah 2:128. This was the dua of Prophet Ibrahim, peace be upon him. And you, yes, you, may be the answer to that prayer. 1. You are the answer to a righteous soul's dua. Long before you ever drew your first breath, there was someone whose heart ached with hope for the future. In the stillness of the night, this believer closed their eyes and lifted their hands to the heavens, whispering, "Ya Allah, bless my descendants and grant us someone who will carry your light into the world." They did not ask for wealth or fame. They asked for guidance, strength, and faith, knowing that the most precious gift is the ability to walk in Allah's path. That humble plea, born from a sincere heart, did not disappear into the wind. Instead, it took shape in the divine decree. In that very moment, God recorded your name in the book of decree. You are not an accident. You are not a random combination of genetics and chance. You are the living, breathing fulfillment of a dream whispered centuries ago. Imagine the ripple effect, one believer's dua, repeated night after night, echoing through generations until it reached you. Because of that prayer, you were marked as someone special, someone chosen to carry on a legacy of faith and compassion. When you feel lost or insignificant, remember, you are part of a chain that stretches back through time, linking you to every righteous soul who ever lifted their hands in supplication. They prayed for your character, your wisdom, and your ability to spread goodness in a world that desperately needs it. Their hope was that you would stand firm when trials came, that you would be a beacon of light in moments of darkness, and that your presence would remind others of Allah's mercy. This truth should fill you with gratitude and purpose. You are the answer, proof that Allah hears every sincere plea and turns it into reality, even if it takes 1,000 years. Your life is not just about you. It is a living testament to the power of dua. Whenever doubt creeps in, let this knowledge awaken something deep inside you. The realization that you were wanted, cherished, and prepared long before you existed. You carry within you the prayers of countless hearts who believed in a future that only Allah could see. Now, it is your turn to honor their faith by living in a way that uplifts others, by walking with confidence in the plan that was set in motion long ago. 2. Your existence was written in the book of decree. Before the mountains rose and before the seas gathered, before the sun and moon took their places in the sky, Allah's knowledge already encompassed everything that would ever happen, including you. In Islamic belief, there is something called Al-Lawh al-Mahfuz, the preserved tablet, where Allah recorded every event, every soul, and every detail of creation long before it came into being. When we say that your existence was written in this book of decree, we mean that Allah, who knows the past, present, and future, decided that you would come into this world at this exact moment with this exact purpose. Imagine a master architect who draws a blueprint for a magnificent building. Even before a single brick is laid, every corner, every window, and every beam is already mapped out on paper. Similarly, Allah's plan for you existed before you existed. Your birth was not a random spark of life. It was a carefully designed outcome of infinite wisdom. The moment you take your first breath, it is only the unfolding of what was already decided, your talents, your challenges, your joys, and even your struggles. When you feel small or powerless, remember that you are part of someone's divine blueprint. Allah did not create you by accident. He planned for you because you play a unique role in this universe. Everything you experience, from the family you were born into to the trials you face, is written in that grand plan. You may not understand why certain doors open or close, but trusting that Allah's decree is perfect brings peace. It means that even when life seems confusing, there is a wisdom behind every step you take. This knowledge should give you comfort and confidence. You are never outside Allah's care. Your entire life, from your first heartbeat to your final breath, was known and chosen by the one who sees all. When you stumble, know that Allah already anticipated that moment and already held your hand. When you triumph, know that your success was not just luck, but the fulfillment of a promise written long ago. Recognize that because your existence was inscribed on the preserved tablet, nothing can truly harm or derail you unless it fits into Allah's plan. So, whenever doubt or fear tries to make you question your worth, remind yourself, you were written into existence by the Lord of the heavens and the earth. Your story is not a blank page. It is a masterpiece already drafted in the divine archive. Embrace this reality and move forward with the assurance that your life is part of a greater purpose, one that was ordained before time began. 3. The legacy you carry is heavier than you realize. Every time you wake up and put one foot in front of the other, you walk on the shoulders of those who came before you. Centuries ago, believers, scholars, warriors, mothers, fathers, shed tears and offered prayers for a future they would never see. They dreamed of a generation that would uphold the teachings of Islam in an era far beyond their own. Their hopes were not vague wishes. They were anchored in conviction and sacrifice. When your ancestors fasted under scorching sun and stood in bowed prostration during moonlit nights, they did so with the conviction that generations later, someone would emerge to carry their torch. You might think that your everyday actions, going to work, studying for exams, scrolling through your phone, are distant from the struggles of those early believers. But in reality, your life is the continuation of their journey. Their tears and their steadfast faith created a ripple effect that reached through time and space to uplift you. The food on your table, the freedom to learn, and even the ease of choosing right from wrong. All of these are part of a legacy born from their perseverance. When you face a challenge, whether it's a difficult decision, financial hardship, or emotional turmoil, remember, you are not alone. You carry within you the strength and resilience of countless souls who laid down their very lives so that Islam could flourish. This legacy is not a burden meant to weigh you down. It is a gift meant to empower you. Imagine a runner in a relay race. As the baton changes hands, the previous runner does more than pass the baton. They transfer momentum, energy, and hope. In the same way, you received a baton filled with faith, knowledge, and love for Allah. Your responsibility is to honor that gift by persevering when times get tough, by speaking truth when it is inconvenient, and by extending kindness to those who are lost. Every act of worship you perform, every prayer, every charity, every moment of compassion does more than benefit you. It pays forward the sacrifices of those who prayed for you long before you were born. Consider this. When you feel burdened by expectations, know that those expectations come from the most noble source, people whose only desire was to see Allah's light continue to grow in the world. They didn't limit their prayers to immediate needs. They envisioned a chain of righteousness that would span generations. Because of their foresight, you were given opportunities they never had: education, modern technology, and global connections. But with those opportunities comes a greater charge. The world around you is far more complex, yet the core of what you carry remains simple: faith, hope, and compassion. So when you stand at a crossroads, unsure whether to choose comfort over courage, remember the legacy you carry. You are the living proof that those early believers' prayers were not in vain. Their struggles, their tears, and their steadfastness are woven into your DNA. Carry their legacy with humility and with pride. Let it guide your decisions, fuel your perseverance, and inspire you to create a brighter future for those who will come after you. Because the weight of this legacy is not meant to crush you, it is meant to lift you every step of the way. 4. You are a bridge between generations of faith. From the earliest days of Islam to this very moment, faith has been passed down like a living flame. When the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, guided his companions, they preserved his teachings and shared them with their children. Those children grew up to teach their own families, and so on through the centuries. Each generation added its own sweat, sacrifice, and love to protect that flame. When you were born, you did not arrive into an empty world. You entered a lineage of believers who spent their lives building, preserving, and defending Islam. Think of it like a long chain of lanterns stretching through time. The first lantern was lit by the Prophet, peace be upon him, and his companions. The next lantern glowed brighter because someone in each era sheltered it from the wind, refilled its oil with knowledge, and passed it on in better condition than they received it. Today, that lantern shines inside you. You are not the originator of this light, but you carry its warmth and brilliance. In your heart, you hold the collective wisdom of scholars who wrote the Quran's explanation, imams who led their communities through trials, and believers who clung to Tawhid during the darkest nights. Because you hold this light, you have a unique position. You connect all those who came before you with all those who will come after you. You are the bridge that spans the past and the future. If you choose to nurture and strengthen your faith, you ensure that what was built at great cost will continue to flourish. Every time you recite even a single verse of the Quran, you activate a link to those early reciters who heard it for the first time. When you stand in prayer, you join the millions who have stood in their prayer rugs over centuries. And when you sincerely share a lesson from Islam with a friend, you extend that chain into tomorrow. Remember that you are not isolated in your faith. Every sound you make, each tasbih on your tongue, every act of charity with your hands, resonates not only within your own community, but also within the entire history of believers. Imagine your faith journey as a road. Behind you, the footprints of imams, warriors, teachers, and scholars. Ahead of you, the path is still being formed by those who will follow your example. If you stumble in your character or neglect your worship, you weaken the bridge for future generations. If you persevere in kindness, humility, and devotion, you strengthen that bridge so others can cross safely. Your role is both an honor and a responsibility. You are the living link that keeps Islam alive and relevant in a changing world. When you seek knowledge, you are participating in the centuries-old quest for understanding. When you speak truth and justice in your circle, you echo prophets who sacrificed everything for righteousness. And when you choose integrity over convenience, you embody the principled stance of martyrs who gave their lives for this faith. Never forget, you are a bridge. The lessons you live by today determine whether the faith passed through you shines brightly or fades. Stand firm in your convictions, honor the sacrifices of the past, and consciously build a legacy that future generations will be proud to inherit. By doing so, you ensure that this chain of light remains unbroken, from those who prayed before you, to you, and to those who will come after. 5. Your struggles were foreseen and prayed for, long before you ever felt the weight of hardship. There were hearts beating in distant eras, eyes filling with tears as they cried out to Allah on your behalf. These righteous souls, mothers and fathers, scholars and warriors, looked beyond their own lifetimes and envisioned a future where their descendants would face trials, doubts, and pressures that they themselves could not fully predict. In the quiet hours of the night, when the world was silent and only the stars bore witness, they lifted their hands and pleaded, "O Allah, grant strength to those yet to come. Protect them from despair, guide them through darkness, and give them unwavering faith when their hearts waver." They did not pray for a life free of difficulty because they understood that hardship sharpens faith like fire refines gold. Instead, they asked for resilience, that the ones born into later generations would stand firm when winds of doubt blew fiercest, that they would find patience when circumstances seemed unbearable, and that their trust in Allah would become a shelter during storms of adversity. When you feel overwhelmed, when burdens press down on your shoulders and you wonder if you have the capacity to carry on, know this: Allah already anticipated those exact moments of struggle. He heard the sincere pleas of souls who came before you, and He prepared for your trials by wrapping you in unseen armor woven from their prayers. Every doubt that whispers, "You cannot do this," was countered centuries ago by a prayer asking for your courage. Every fear of failure was met with a supplication for your steadfastness. Even the loneliness you feel in the midst of hardship was prayed against. "O Lord, comfort their hearts when they feel abandoned," they beseeched, knowing that future generations would face moments when it seemed like the world had turned its back. Understand that when you encounter a hardship, whether it's a financial setback, a broken relationship, or an internal battle with your own thoughts, that struggle does not arrive as a punishment or as a sign of neglect. Rather, it is the culmination of a divine design, one that those early believers bowed before, asking Allah to prepare you for exactly this test. They knew that without hardship, the heart remains soft and untested. Without hardship, the bones do not strengthen. Their prayer was never, "O Allah, safeguard them from every hardship," because they recognized that hardship, in its proper form, can become a gateway to growth. Instead, they prayed, "O Allah, make their hardship a means for drawing closer to you. Grant them perspective to see your wisdom when they cannot see beyond their pain." And Allah, in His infinite mercy, answered that prayer by enclosing you within a network of dua, unseen but real. When your faith wavers, remember that scholars and saints of old called upon Allah to make your belief unshakable. When pressures mount and you think of giving up, recall that pious mothers begged for your patience and endurance. Their supplications were woven into the fabric of your soul, so that when the trial arrives, you will not face it alone. Instead, you stand on the shoulders of countless prayers that intercede for you, guiding you toward resilience. This awareness should transform the way you perceive difficulty. Rather than shrinking away from hardship, recognize it as part of a legacy. Each time you choose to persevere, you validate the hopes of those who prayed for your strength centuries before your birth. When you turn to Allah in your darkest hour, you are continuing a chain of dua that began long ago. That chain is unbroken. It reaches from their tear-stained palms straight to your heart today. Let it remind you that you are never abandoned, never forgotten, and never truly alone. The struggles you face were foreseen and prayed for, and they are meant to be stepping stones toward a greater closeness with Allah, just as those who prayed envisioned. So stand tall in your trials, draw comfort from their supplications, and know that every hardship is accompanied by a powerful legacy of prayer, ready to lift you when you feel you cannot rise on your own. 6. You were born to complete what others couldn't. There were ancestors long ago who poured their hopes and dreams into the unseen future. men and women who sacrificed comfort, wealth, and even their lives to protect the deen of Islam. They witnessed empires rise and fall, oppression spread and recede, and they faced trials that tested the very fabric of their faith. In their darkest hours, they clung to a vision that one day their descendants would stand strong, carry the torch of truth forward, and finish the mission they started. They knew they might not see that outcome themselves, but that did not stop them from raising their hands to the heavens and begging Allah, "O Lord, if we cannot complete this work, then bless our children, our grandchildren, and their children after them to see it through. Grant them the wisdom, courage, and perseverance to fulfill what we began." When you were born, you became the embodiment of those prayers. You inherited not only their blood and names, but also the unfinished tasks they passed down. Tasks built on years of scholarship, community service, and unwavering loyalty to Allah's commands. Picture a relay race in which runners hand off a baton. Each runner sprinted as best they could, but they could not cross the final finish line. They passed the baton to their descendants, who continued the race, hoping someday someone would cross that line. You are that someone. The baton is in your hands now, heavy with expectations and steeped in sacrifice. You did not choose to carry it, yet you were chosen for it. What does this mean in practical terms? It means that the knowledge you gain, the character you cultivate, and the impact you make are all part of a grand design set in motion centuries ago. The scholars who wrote commentaries on the Quran could not finish the work of guiding every soul. So their prayers were for future students like you to not only learn their legacy but expand upon it. The parents who built mosques and madrasas could not see every brick used to teach a child in later generations, so they prayed for you to inhabit those spaces, benefit from them, and then build even more. The activists who fought injustice in their societies could not uproot every node of oppression. They prayed that their descendants would rise to challenge new forms of tyranny. In every era, the work was never done. It was passed forward. Because you were born into this continuum, you carry a responsibility that is greater than any one lifetime. Your education, your career, and even your daily acts of worship are not merely personal milestones. They are pieces of unfinished stories that began long before you. Every time you sit with the Quran, take notes in a class, or teach someone else a verse, you are manifesting the dua of a teacher who prayed centuries ago for students who would apply that very knowledge. When you spend your time serving the poor, advocating for justice, or helping someone regain hope, you are stepping into the shoes of those early activists who prayed for your generation to heal wounds they could not touch themselves. Yet carrying such a weight might feel overwhelming at times. You may wonder, how can I possibly live up to the hopes of so many souls I have never met? The answer lies in recognizing that Allah did not burden them with impossibility. He called them to lay a foundation, and then He called you to build upon it. You do not have to replicate their life's work exactly. Instead, you must understand the essence of their dua. They wanted someone to keep the faith alive, to protect what is sacred, and to spread goodness no matter the cost. Their prayer was not for perfection, it was for perseverance. Your task, then, is to look around at the world you inherited, the challenges, the injustices, and the opportunities that demand your attention. Ask yourself, what part of this mission am I best suited to complete? You have unique talents, insights, and circumstances that differ from those who came before. If they were scholars, perhaps you become a teacher of their teachings in a new language or medium. If they built places of worship, maybe you build digital platforms to connect hearts in this modern age. If they confronted oppression on battlefields, perhaps you challenge injustice through advocacy, art, or community engagement. In every case, you are taking up their baton and running the next leg of the race. Do not let fear of inadequacy hold you back. Remember that the prayer behind you was not for flawless giants, but for sincere hearts willing to try. They offered their tears and sacrifice, not because they believed the path would be easy, but because they believed in Allah's promise that He would guide those who strive sincerely. When you stumble, realize that their dua still surrounds you, whispering encouragement, granting you courage, and nudging you to stand back up. When you celebrate a breakthrough, know that you are fulfilling a hope that began long ago under a flickering lantern with someone bowing in prayer. Living with this awareness transforms ordinary life into extraordinary purpose. Every sunrise becomes a reminder that you wake up to continue their mission. Every choice, what to learn, how to spend your time, who to serve, becomes a conscious act of honoring the prayers of those who prayed for you before you existed. You were born to complete what they could not. This is not a burden, but a blessing. You are the living testament to their faith. Carry this truth within you, let it shape your decisions, and allow it to propel you forward. In doing so, you will not only fulfill their dreams, but you will become the reason someone yet unborn will find hope and purpose, just as you did. 7. You are not alone. You are surrounded by their prayers. Imagine walking through a vast desert, feeling the hot sun beating down on you, parched and weary. Every grain of sand seems to weigh on your feet, and the horizon stretches endlessly ahead. In that moment, it is easy to feel utterly alone, as if no one understands your exhaustion or the depth of your thirst. Now, imagine lifting your head and noticing footprints in the sand all around you. Footprints of those who have come before, footprints of believers who raised their hands in supplication for you centuries ago. Each step they took, each prayer they uttered, has formed an unseen fortress protecting you today. From the earliest days of Islam, pious men and women realized that their own dua would not only benefit them in their lifetimes, but would also ripple forward to future generations. The Prophet Muhammad himself said, "When a person dies, their deeds come to an end, except for three: ongoing charity, knowledge that benefits, and a righteous child who prays for them." Hundreds, even thousands of scholars, mothers, fathers, and saints seized upon this truth, dedicating not only their actions, but their sincere prayers to the well-being of unborn souls. They beseeched Allah to grant strength, guidance, and mercy to descendants who would live in times they could not foresee, times of confusion, technological marvels, social upheaval, and moral complexity that far exceeded any challenge they personally faced. When they prayed, they did not merely utter isolated words, they poured their hearts into each supplication. Picture a scholar in a candlelit study, the scent of ink in the air, leaning over his books, pausing to lift his voice in earnest plea. O Allah, grant to our descendants clarity of mind when they are overwhelmed by conflicting ideologies. Shield them from hypocrisy and grant them sincerity. Make the truth evident to them even when deception surrounds them. In deserts, villages, and mosques, mothers collected their youngest children into their laps and prayed for grandchildren they would never behold, tears glistening in their eyes as they whispered, "O Lord, protect my grandchildren from the trials that lie ahead. Give them faith stronger than steel." These prayers did not vanish with the passage of years. Instead, they ascended to the heavens, preserved by the angels until they were needed. What does it mean then when we say you are surrounded by these prayers? It means that every time you experience a moment of despair, when your finances collapse, when your relationships fray, when your health falters, there are countless voices from the past crying out on your behalf. These voices are carried by angels who record dua and safeguard them until they manifest as tangible help. Just as Allah sent angels to protect the children of Israel in their exodus, He has appointed angels to guard you, strengthened by the invocations of those who came before. Their dua acts as a shield against anxiety, a light in darkness, and a source of unseen sustenance. Consider the story of Aisha, a scholar's daughter in the 9th century, who would spend her nights memorizing hadith. After long hours of study, she would pause and say, "O Allah, guide my grandchildren to love knowledge more than recreation. Let them find solace in the Quran when their hearts falter." She did not know what era her grandchildren would face, nor the specific hardships they would endure. Yet her dua carried a universal truth, that faith and knowledge are precious commodities in any time. Now, hundreds of years later, when you flip open a book or scroll through an article on Islamic jurisprudence, you unwittingly partake in the fruits of Aisha's prayer. When you recite a hadith, you fulfill the yearning of her soul to see you guided. But it is not only scholars whose prayers envelop you. It is also mothers like Fatima bint Muhammad, may Allah be pleased with her, who in her lifetime saw battles, social change, and family trials. She climbed Mount Uhud to mend the wounds of her father or to comfort her husband after tragedy struck. In her private moments, she folded her hands and whispered for the protection and perseverance of her progeny during future tribulations. Perhaps she envisioned a time when the Ummah would be scattered, when injustice would spread, yet she held faith that her descendants would rise to restore truth. Her sincere longing marked your soul's timeline, ensuring that whenever you feel torn between despair and hope, there is a reservoir of mercy and courage backing you. Even the simplest souls contributed to this tapestry of prayers. A humble farmer in Andalusia, whose only luxury was a single date palm, would break his fast by watching the sun set and then call on Allah to bless his offspring with integrity and kindness. A fisherman by the Arabian Sea, whose daily earnings were meager, would offer a portion of his catch in charity and pray for his children's guidance. The accumulation of these humble prayers, undirected by lofty titles or worldly influence, woven by everyday believers, creates a vast network of intercession. Their voices, soft and persistent, merge into a chorus that resonates invisibly around you. When you feel overwhelmed by the enormity of your responsibilities, remember that you do not stand alone. Envision those countless prayers as a ring of warriors encircling you. Warriors who do not wield swords, but their dua serves as double-edged blades that cut through doubt and despair. Their supplications empower you to keep moving even when your own strength wanes. When you tremble before a decision, uncertain whether your choice aligns with truth, realize that among those praying for you was a teacher who beckoned his students to seek knowledge through reflection and sincere inquiry. Their intention was for you to be guided, not by blind imitation, but by a deep-rooted understanding anchored in heart and mind. This awareness should transform the way you live. Instead of navigating life at a frenetic pace, trying to solve every problem alone, pause and acknowledge the unseen support surrounding you. When you sit to pray your own salah, imagine that the echoes of historical mosques, the voices of imams, scholars, and martyrs resonate within that space. Your prostration is not isolated, it is in union with every believer who ever touched the earth in sujud. With each breath, you inherit the barakah, blessing, of their devotion. Let that consciousness inspire humility. You are no greater than those who prayed for you, and yet no less, because their prayers call upon Allah to elevate you. Moreover, recognize that just as you benefit from past prayers, your own dua extends forward to protect future generations. Your sincere cry, "O Allah, strengthen my children's faith," becomes part of the legacy that will guard them when they stand in moments of trial. Just as you feel supported by those who came before, so too will your descendants feel the warmth of your intercession. This cycle of prayer creates a chain that transcends time. Our beginnings and our endings are deeply connected through these acts of worship. Whenever obstacles seem insurmountable, recite the words the Prophet taught us. None can remove calamity except Allah, and none can bring relief except Him. Let the certainty of divine power, magnified by centuries of prayers behind you, replace anxiety with hope. When you feel isolated in your struggle, remember that those who prayed before you have already tasted heartbreak, loss, and confusion. They knew the weight of human vulnerability. Their prayers did not guarantee a life without pain, but they secured for you the resilience to endure. You walk armed with manna from countless supplications, unseen nourishment for your spirit. So stand firm in your challenges, knowing that you are shielded by a legacy of dua. When you recite even a single verse of the Quran, you reverberate the voices of those who first heard it. When you perform charity, you echo the generosity of those who gave with empty hands but overflowing hearts. Even when you fail or falter, their prayers intercede for mercy and guidance. You are never alone in your journey. Every step is cushioned by the faith and hope of 1,000 generations. Embrace this reality, lean into it when fear knocks at your door, and let it inspire you to live a life worthy of the magnificent prayers that brought you here. You are not here by coincidence. You are not just the result of time passing and people being born. You are the answer to prayers whispered through tears, the product of hope carried across centuries, the legacy of a people who trusted that Allah would raise someone in the future to carry what they could not finish. That someone is you. You walk with invisible light surrounding you, light lit by the du'as of prophets, scholars, mothers, and strangers who never knew your name but believed in your potential. Their voices still echo through time. O Allah, guide them. O Allah, protect them. O Allah, let them rise higher than we ever could. So now, the question is not if you are chosen, you are. The question is, will you carry what was given to you? Will you rise with the strength already woven into your soul? Will you walk forward knowing that you are never alone, never empty, and never forgotten? You were prayed for. You were waited for. You were written for this moment. So live in a way that makes their prayers feel fulfilled, because this world is waiting for what Allah placed inside you.